All right. So we are recording. Let me go and change the layout here for the recording. I need to pin you to the, why isn't this working? So spotlight for everyone. Okay, so there we go. So I've got you on the recorded screen as the main character of the show, because you are. So welcome, Tristan. There's going to be some people that may watch this recording and not know who the Tate brothers are. Can you give them a quick elevator pitch on, your Batman origin story over the last few years?
Yeah, absolutely. Myself and my brother, who shares exactly the same story, we're both professional kickboxers. We grew up in poverty in the United Kingdom, and we've gone from coming from a family that went through homelessness, etc., to be multi-millionaires. We recently just purchased a Bugatti, which is arriving in a couple of days. Totally self-made men, and we made our initial millions in the adult entertainment industry. We always had beautiful girlfriends. We utilized the fact that we were good with women. We put these various women on live broadcasts, internet shows way before the invention of OnlyFans, and we were millionaires by our mid 20s. So now that I have all the money, I already have all the women. I've just accelerated from there, and I'm living in what I call God mode. So yeah, it's a wonderful life.
So we're going to be using this as essentially the research for the Alpha God chapter that I'm going to be putting in the follow-up book. You've probably gone from the conventional beliefs that you had when you were younger, one man, one woman, monogamous, blah blah blah, all that bullshit. And at some point, both of you guys realize that that's not necessarily the way that you want or need to run your lives, and there's better ways that you can do it, that you're open to options. So I guess the first question that I want to ask is, at what point did you guys determine that you didn't just have to spend all of your time with one woman? Like, was there a line in the sand, like when you made your first million, when you made your second million, when you had a certain level of social influence, when you had a blue check mark? Because not everybody can pull this off, right? So I mean, if you can talk about like what it took for you to decide, like, look, I'm not like these guys, I'm this guy, so I'm going to pull this off now.
Well, the actual realization that this is the way I should live, and I had a lot of work to do, that came much, much earlier. I was actually only 14. No, I was 16 years of age. So essentially, to make a long story short, when my parents got divorced, I'd moved to England at 8 years old, and my mother's sisters were in my ear. Your dad cheated on your mother. Your dad cheated on your mother. So I'm an 8-year-old kid. You see cheating on TV and in the soap operas that these women watch, and you think it's wrong. And I remember being about 9 and saying to my dad on a telephone call, "Dad, well, you cheated on mom," because these women had been in my ear. And I always had a lot of respect for my father. He said, "Tristan, one, shut the fuck up, because I'm not going to sit here and discuss male and female sexual relations with a fucking 9-year-old. So be quiet. When you're older, we'll discuss this." And I completely forgot, Richard, that this conversation had happened. Erased from my memory. Cut to, I'm now 16 years of age. I had a girlfriend named Rachel. Well, the second girl I think I'd ever slept with, but my first ever proper girlfriend. And I started cheating on Rachel with this girl called Liz. I don't know, it was just in my blood. I never thought, well, let's be loyal to Rachel. It never registered to me. So my dad was visiting England at the time, and I'd go over to brag to my father. I said, "Hey, Dad, I've got this pretty girl named Liz, and I slept with her, and Rachel doesn't know about it." He looks at me, puts down his whiskey, blank face, and says, "Do you remember when you were fucking 9 and you want to try to tell me?" So it hit me at a very, very young age. So I think it was more of a role model thing, or maybe it's, I wouldn't say it's as far as to say it's genetic, but certainly nurture more than nature. But it's just the way my dad was. I knew that I wasn't going to live that way.
And was it like open, like you just basically said, "Look, I'm going to do whatever I want. You're just going to have to look the other way, and you're going to have to accept that you're going to have to share me"? Or was it like covert cheating? Like when you weren't with Rachel, you were banging Liz, you didn't tell Rachel what you're up to or disclose any of it?
Yeah. As a younger man, keep in mind, we all go through a growth period over our lifetime. And I was not some ice cold playboy when I was 16, 17 years old. I was working in a McDonald's restaurant. I slept in the back room at my mother's house. And I moved into some big shared house with a bunch of immigrants. So now I was not the man I was today. So it was very much, I had Rachel as my girlfriend. I slept with this girl on the side. Very easy to get away with. It was before Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff took over, and girls started talking, started stalking you and talking to each other. But yeah, it was very much behind her back. But that's not how I operate today.
Yeah,
that was just a kid trying to get his dick wet.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how the vast majority of guys generally do it, right? Is they'll just cheat. Like I've said this before, women will betray, but men will cheat. It's two different things. Like men and women's sexual nature is obviously different. I don't need to explain that to you. I'm just kind of like, putting it there for context for those watching any kind of reruns. But so at what point did you decide, like, look, I'm at this level, I'm wearing these watches, I've got tailored clothes, I obviously have the attention of a lot of women, I'm a successful kickboxer, I've done something of some relevance in my life, people are starting to look up to me and recognize me, they demand my time, they want to pick my brain, all that stuff starts to happen as you grow and develop as a man. For you, it happened a lot earlier than it did for me, and I watch you guys right now, I'm like, absolutely, like I would encourage anybody that's a young man around the age of the Tate brothers to consider doing the same thing that they're doing right now, especially if you have options and you're a top shelf guy, right? So at what point did you guys both, like, did you have a conversation with Andrew? Like, why are we playing this covert game where we're cheating behind their back? Why don't we just deal with it this way? Like, how did you guys pivot your strategy to where you are today?
Yes, well, it actually came, it evolved before we got rich. So the way we got rich is running these webcam studios, having these various pretty girls on webcam. I think the moment it clicked for us was as we decided to try to hire models or girls who we knew and who we were dating and who we were sleeping with typically to work for us at our webcam studio. So I pitch girls, they say, hey, baby, look, this is what I'm doing. You can make money this way. And these were good girls. They just worked at, beauty salons and waitresses and normal ass jobs. Mm-hmm. So I'd say, look, baby, this is what I'm doing. This is how much money, it can generate. This is how much money I'm making. I think you should come and work together with me on this. A lot of them said no, but I had one premises and all the girls had to be on premises at the same time. I just kind of drew a line on the sand and thought, you know what? There is no more sneaking around behind everyone's back because I'm trying to get rich now. Now I know that a girl can generate, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a week. I need more women in this house. So there is no sneaking around. The game is up. It's time to just say to these women, look, you work for me. I'm sleeping with you. It is what it is. This is where we work. This girl works for me too. I love you more than her. And you play them off against each other. But that's what really developed my game in terms of having multiple girlfriends and having multiple women. And to be honest, it wasn't so much that I came up with the strategy. It's like the 4-minute mile. Once I tried it and saw it could be done, the 4-minute mile, the guy who ran the mile in 4 minutes, and then everyone else started doing it afterwards. The moment I tried it and said, look, I've got these other women, and it was just working. It kept working. And it was mind blowing to me. And this is maybe I was 24 years old at the time. And I realized, this is the secret. Women will share, a top tier dude. And, I was top tier in every single way besides financially, I guess, at the time. Mm-hmm. And I've been climbing up there ever since. So more and more women willing to share me.
What was the ratio of women that would accept you being shared versus the ones that were steadfast, beholden to, no, I don't want to share you, I just want to be with you, sort of thing?
It was the ratio. If you play the game right, I would occasionally, and still do to this day, have women who will be like, look, don't let me find out. I know what you're doing, but I don't want to be included in this. Don't invite me to your stupid parties where you invite us all. Don't invite me to the clubs with the other girls who you sleep with. Just see me one-on-one and let me just live in my ignorant little world. That's a lot of them. But there aren't many women who will date a man like me and really command and expect and demand loyalty to the point where they're looking for me cheating and they're out the door the moment they find out. Mm. It's women who turn the other way. I'd say zero will hard line. If you cheat on me and have sex with another woman, I'm leaving you. Go ahead.
It sounds like there's two distinct categories. So there's a women that you'll have at the house parties, at the nightclub sort of thing, that will commingle with each other and they know what's going on. And there's ones that just want to look the other way and not have anything to do with it. But, you spend your one-on-one time with them and then you kind of move on to the next girl whenever you have time for the next one, sort of thing, right? Like, is that the way that it breaks down?
Yeah, pretty much. Uber is my best friend at this point. You have two phones, you Uber one in as you Uber the other one out, and you pull the switcheroo on yourself 2 or 3 times a day if you're just trying to spend time with every single girl. But, I'll go to the club and I'll invite 10 girls who I'm sleeping with. One of my episodes of Tate Confidential recently, I invited 9 of my girlfriends, not girls who I'm sleeping with, not hoes who, you know, may or may not be with other men. I'm talking actual girlfriends, girls who I am in a real relationship with. They're loyal to me, faithful to me. Most don't work for me. Some of them do. But I invited all my girlfriends to this one party, and I lost one of them of 9. I lost one by pulling that stunt. So I think that speaks to the psychology of women and the statistics involved, because these are top tier women. 2 of the girls who were at that party, I had taken their virginities. I mean, all of them besides 1 or 2, very low body counts, very good girls. The kind of girl that a normal guy will get with and say, my girlfriend would never tolerate being with a man like you. I'm picking women from the exact same selection everybody else is. You know, I'm not finding these magical, I'll allow you to cheat girls out of nowhere. It's me. It's not them.
Do you go through any kind of vetting process? Like, there's a distinction between hoes and women that you're going to allow show up with 8 or 9 other women at your house for a party for
Absolutely.
a Tate speech video, obviously, because that's a different kind of platform, versus the ones that you may have like one-on-ones where they just look the other way. So I've got like a long list of like 20 red flags that I put in a chapter in my book. It was one of the things that I published early before I even released the book, but they were things like daddy issues, feminists, the unhappy, the unlucky, women that try to compete with you, women that keep men around from their past, women that are shit with money, violent women, women that have extreme jealousy, party girls. The 10th one is the one that you and I disagree on, because tattoos and piercings, where I distinguish it as excessive tattooing and piercing. I know that you have a taste or a flavor for tats. Number 11, I said, was big notch count. So they've been with lots of dudes, single moms. They're on social media constantly seeking validation from other men, of course, for non-payment. Like, I'm not talking about like the OnlyFans girls. Sugar babies, pathological liars, women that have baby rabies, like they want babies right now, they're 39 sort of thing. Women that throw hissy fits, that don't allow you to be in control of birth when you choose to be in control of birth. Drama queens, and the women with addictive personality. So they drink way too much booze, they're into drugs, they have a shopping addiction, shit like that. Do you have any like vetting strategy that you use to try to separate the wheat from the chaff when it comes to dealing with these women?
100%. And most of the things that you named there, almost all of the things you named are things I look for. The biggest thing for me is you have to distinguish the word side chick, main chick, and hoe, or girl who belongs to the streets or doesn't belong to you. You see, a lot of guys have it so wrong. They'll be like, oh, I've got my main chick and I've got these 2 side chicks, but they don't understand what a side chick is. In a true, I mean, I'll call myself one of the certainly the best public figure who talks about being an international playboy. I think out there in the world, I haven't seen anyone who's doing it like me. They don't understand what a side chick is at my level. And a side chick is not just some hoe you're banging. They've got their main chick and they're fucking these 2 or 3 girls. But those 2 or 3 girls who they sleep with, they don't belong to them. Those 2 or 3 girls probably have a sugar daddy also, and some other dude whose dick they go suck on a Friday night when they're busy. To me, a side chick is a completely independent, loyal, loving relationship from her to me. So I have my main chick and I have side chicks too. And my side chicks are completely loyal girlfriends. You know, I know where there are all times. They, you know, write me love letters, quite literally, take pictures of love letters and send them to me on WhatsApp every day. Send me photos, the things I demand of them, they give me. They'll come around my house and cook for me. You know, they do anything for me. And then you have your hoes. So when I meet a girl, I always accept the fact and consider the fact that she's probably just some hoe, because most girls are. And it takes a very long time for them to work their way up my hierarchy. And my main chick actually became my main chick after I lost my previous main chick. So a good example of working your way up the hierarchy is this. This girl had a body count of 1. I had taken her virginity. She lives with her father and her 2 brothers, who are all gangsters, literally. But they have a massive amount of respect for me and my brother. So they're very cool, and they keep her in check for me. So I took this girl's virginity. She was one of my side chicks. I was dating her. I really like this girl. So my main chick finds out that I have a baby with one of my side chicks. So I pulled a gambit. I said, no. Look, I don't have a baby. Actually, I have 2, and put both pictures on the table and said, I have 2. But that just proves that, you know, I want a family with you and I'm just having kids for the fucking sake of it. So I lost my main chick. That gambit did not work. It failed. So I lost my main chick, and my ex-main chick starts calling all my side chicks who she knows about, saying, yeah, Tristan's got these 2 kids. Tristan's got these 2 kids. And this virgin girl who I was talking about calls me and says, look, Tristan, I got a call from your ex. She told me that you broke up, and, you know, I've been with you for 1.5 years, and I didn't know you had this girl, and now I know you have 2 kids. But listen, I know you have 2 kids with these women, but I'm going to give you a family. We're going to have a family together because I love you the most. And I was like, boom, promoted, main chick. So they slowly work their way up my hierarchy, and it all kind of falls into place. I don't write it down. I'm not technical about it. I'm not geeky about it. But yeah, the red flags you're talking about, drug addiction, alcohol abuse is a huge one for me. Huge notch count, body count. That's a very, very big one for me, which is ironic because I work in adult entertainment, but I work in webcams and solo stuff. So people will be like, oh, this girlfriend of yours, there's naked pictures of her all over the internet. I'm like, yeah, there are. Body count of 3. There's no pictures of her with a man. She's got a body count of 3. Your girl's got a body count of 25. So I don't really give a fuck about solo naked pictures. That doesn't bother me. I know it's a red flag for a lot of guys out there, but from working within the industry, I'm numb to it. It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, if she's an employee and earning for you, it's a good thing.
Exactly. But huge notch count, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, very big red flags. Bad family life, doesn't like or not in good touch with her parents, travels too much, on her measly budgets, pretend she's a makeup artist, but she's in the Maldives on her Instagram. There are loads and loads of red flags, and these girls will never make it even onto my hierarchy if they have too many of those, or any of them really.
So how can I put this? So having discerning tastes as far as the sort of women that you're going to allow to be invited into your world, to the Tate world, where you may choose to put babies on them sort of thing, or to take them on trips and travel with them sort of thing. Or maybe, you've got an empty seat in your Lamborghini and you're doing a rally and you want to throw her in it sort of thing. Like that's where they get the invite if they've earned that position then.
Absolutely. And they have to earn their way up. They have to earn their way up. And my criteria is no different from any other man's. I'm not dating from some weird pool of women that most people don't have access to. I have access to the exact same women as everybody else. We all have dating apps. We all have Instagram. We all go, maybe I go to nicer bars, clubs, and restaurants than most people. But they're essentially the same women. But most of my girlfriends are the type of girl that any, monogamous man would happily marry. Most of them are. And I just collect them.
And as far as like boundaries go with these women, if they cross a line in the sand, how firm are you with it? Like, is it comply or goodbye with everything, or do you move the line in the sand if you need to?
The line in the sand almost never moves. It's very firm for me. Any kind of solicitation for male attention, messaging some guy, replying to an Instagram message, I'll instantly never see her again. I'm not the big obsessive, I'm going to look through my girl's phone kind of guy, but every month, 2 months, whenever I get bored, I say, give me your phone. If she hands it to me unlocked, I'll usually just hand it back, because when they do that, there's nothing in it. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If there's any kind of no, or let me go to the bathroom first, I will break up with her immediately, because it's an abundance mindset. Yeah. I have so many girlfriends, and so many wonderful girlfriends. There's so many virgins and young girls and pretty girls and the kind of girls that most guys dream of, that I'll happily let one go. And there have been times when I've met really beautiful women. 10 out of 10, amazingly beautiful women who are great in bed. They cook well, but I just know there's some hoe, and I've had to let them go. I can't make exceptions, because the good girls in my life don't deserve the bad treatment. And when I mean the bad treatment, I mean, like, if I'm taking a girl who deserves it, my main chick, for example, on a car rally all the time. Yeah, this girl's really hot and she's a 10 and I want to fuck her. But I can't take her on the car rally, because that's treating the girl who's loyal and respectful to me wrong. That's putting some hoe on the same level as her. So yeah, the line in the sand never moves.
Got it.
It can't.
So I got a question here from one of the guys just quietly watching. He says, with your main girl or girlfriends, do you give them a monthly budget? Do you pay for things for them above and beyond gifts, dinner, etc.? Are they on their own? How do you handle that? So I guess the money question is do you just give them like a monthly allowance and they're on call as they're needed, like they're taking care of women?
I give no woman a monthly budget, and I never have. It's always been against because I made my money from getting women to take money from men. I don't have a girl, oh, you're my girlfriend now, here's your monthly budget, It was my main chick's birthday very, very recently. Sent all sorts of flowers and chocolates and champagne to her house. I'm busy in Dubai. I've got some issues to take care of here. I'll buy them gifts if I want to. The 2 women who I do take care of financially are the mothers of my children. For me, that's the graduation line, you see. I'm not going to take care of a woman financially before she has my child, because to me, that's going to be a sunken investment. Say that I have a girl and she's great. Say I used to financially take care of my ex, which I didn't. She had a job, and I helped. And I helped her out with some. She had some online clothing business. I'll happily coach her and help her out. And lots of my girls who are my side chicks actually work on OnlyFans and stuff. And my agency makes sure that they make money. Some of my girls are making 30, 40,000 a month just by themselves. But I will not pay a girl an allowance, because if I pay for a girl's life for 5 years and she breaks up with me, then it's like, okay, I've just sunk all that money. So once they have my baby, that's the line. Okay, you have my baby now for the next 18 years, you're good. So I do pay those two women because I don't want them at work. It's not even that I mean, you can't really call me a sugar daddy. I'm just being a man providing for my child, which is very normal. But it's not even that I want to give them money. It's that I don't want them to work. I don't want them leaving my child with some fucking babysitter while they go off and, try and better their career. And one of the girls who has my kid was a TV presenter. She would work on shopping channels and present on TV all day. I don't want her doing that. I want her at home with the baby. So that's why I pay her.
Got it. And how do you decide when she's worthy of that status where she's going to be taken care of when she has a kid? I mean, do you intentionally knock them up after you've chosen them, or is it just you just dumping your load everywhere and like whatever happens happens?
No. I'm not on rapid fire. I mean, I'm very selective about this, and I think you have to be in life. But I'm in a very fortunate position where, I dislike. I call it bottom feeding. These guys who count their approaches and count their lays, and they get into their 40s. Some of these dudes, like, I've had sex with this many women. One, I have sex with more women. Two, I have sex with women of higher quality who are better looking. But there has to be an objective to it. And I think it's bottom feeding, and it's desperate, because my objective when I was collecting women first was to make money. I would collect these women, run them on cams and Instagram or whatever, and scam dudes and make my millions of dollars. And now my objective is, let's collect women, let's filter the wheat from the chaff, see who's good, see who's bad, and put babies in the good ones to build up a giant family of maybe 10, 15 children. That's my next objective.
What are the green flags that you look for with women, before you decide to make them, like a mother of your child?
Well, understanding the fact that unless they're a virgin or have a body count of very, very low, women can lie about their body count. Mm-hmm. So you have to understand that, I mean, to judge whether a woman's a good girl or not, you can't take her word for it necessarily. You have to look for, you have to look for it. And her reputation within your city is a very good idea of what her body count could be. How many travel destinations she's been to, and that could be a normal conversation. Oh, where have you been on vacation? If a Romanian girl says something like, "Oh, I've been to Turkey and Croatia and Bulgaria," good girl, because those are little tiny destinations that you can get buses to and families take their people. If she starts saying, "Oh, I've been to Jamaica and the Seychelles and the Maldives and Dubai," that's a red flag in and of itself. I don't care who paid, because she could say, "Oh, I was with one guy, my ex, and he took me to all those places." You don't know that, and I don't know that. You can't trust women because women lie.
Right.
So you have to be smart enough and experienced enough to know, to be able to put the pieces to the puzzle together. That's the best way I can explain it, but it comes with experience, I think.
So it's really just like a vetting process. Like you're taking the time to watch their behavior, you're watching how they respond, you see if they comply with your boundaries that you set. And of course, the cream rises at the top and you think to yourself, all right, I think it's time for another kid. Let's go at it. Got it.
I mean, it's even small things. It's little things. I pick them up in a Lamborghini. Mm-hmm. If she's, I picked up 19-year-olds in Lamborghinis who are just so blasé to it. Oh yeah, so where are we going? Why? Because every guy with a Lamborghini is picking this girl up. She's sucking dicks in these cars.
Right.
When you pick up a nice, young, innocent village girl in a Lamborghini, it's, oh my God, wow, let me take a picture or send it to my mom. Just the way they behave in situations like that also, you can read a lot into.
Yeah, that's true. I want to move over to the stuff with the having children with multiple women. But first, I just want to make sure I got everything on the dating part of things with like spinning all these plates simultaneously. Is there anything that I need to ask you that I haven't asked you yet that I might have missed?
Not really.
That's a key.
But with spinning plates, I don't say spinning plates. I say I'm cooking meals. You set the plates up, but what do you then do? Let them fall down or keep them spinning? No. I'm trying to create something beautiful out of each plate I'm spinning. Otherwise, I'm just happy to drop it to the floor and let it break.
Got it.
So,
Okay, well, that's an important distinction. Um, so as far as women in general, when it comes to having kids, like it's risky business here in North America, right? I mean, we've
yes,
talked
it
about
is.
this before live, I think, on shows. You've chosen to live in Romania, you've chosen this lifestyle, and you've chosen certain strategies that it seems like from the outside minimize the risk of having kids with multiple women there. How do you handle that? Because I mean, women are finicky by nature. They're they're more entitled than ever. They think that their worth is higher than what it generally is. They throw hissy fits if they don't get their way. They're not hesitant at all whatsoever here anyway to use
Mm.
things like family law or to manufacture a Me Too to get their way. How do you deal with the nature of women in general when it comes to running all of these women simultaneously at the girlfriend stage and at the
Mhm.
mother of my kid stage?
Well, I think that, a lot of women are happy to cause problems for men. And they're happy to cause problems for men because they know that they are that man's sole source of sexual gratification. A lot of the time, cheating is a superpower. I call it cheating. I call it having multiple girlfriends is the superpower.
Mhm.
You have to understand that, even at the girlfriend level, if you have one girlfriend and that's all you've got, if she wants to engage in an argument that's going to take all night, you're going to argue all night. If she wants to argue for a week, you're going to argue for a week. If one of my girls wants to argue with me, I'll send a message saying, write me back when you're in a better mood, and I'll go to another one of my girlfriend's houses. And she knows what I'm doing. That makes women fall into line much faster than you would think. So the whole, women threatening you and, the whole Me Too thing, I think it's just about, portraying yourself as a man who's not to be fucked with.
Mhm.
I think that by the time a girl calls in the Me Too, rolls in the big guns on you, she's fucked with you so many hundreds of times and you've taken it. She's learned that there's no consequences to doing whatever she likes to you. So you know what? All right, let's call the police and make up some allegations about Tristan. But that's because when she tried to argue with me, I cried and capitulated. That's why when she tried to leave me, I begged for her back. That's why she thinks she can do this to me. You leave me, that's cool. Bye. I'm not messaging you. You upset me or fuck around with me or don't give me your phone when I say bye. And that is it. Unless she's crying and begging, I won't take her back. So I think that all these guys are like, oh, I'm scared of women doing this to me and that to me. They're taking too much shit as it is, because that's the last resort for women. If you really are true to yourself as a man and you hold yourself to the same standards I hold myself to, that girl who Me Too's you would have been gone a year before she ever had the idea to roll in the big guns, because the small shots she was firing would have made you walk away from her. So I think that's the best way at the girlfriend level to negate this kind of bullshit.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. So being fastidious with the boundaries from the get-go so that small molehills don't become mountains.
Yeah.
What about with the women that have your kids? Because I mean, then you've got a new issue. Because I mean, we've seen these women say things like, well, I'm just going to take them and, like run away on you sort of thing. I've heard Andrew say that I'll just burn the whole fucking thing down to the ground and give you half the ashes. And, you can go fuck yourself, basically. Is that the same strategy, or is there more to it than just that?
Look, and this isn't luck. This is very deliberate. So I'm not going to say it's luck, but you can choose to live in a country where child support is not based on a percentage garnishment of your income. You can choose to do that. Correct. And if you live in the United States, child support is a percentage of your income. They know you make X, therefore, because you have a kid, they deserve a certain standard of living. A lot of countries in the world are not like that. A lot of countries in the world are, this is how much it costs to feed and clothe a baby. A man has to provide that. That's a lot of the world. This is not just, the Western world, not so much, but there are many places in the world like this. And the country that I live in is one of them. If I lived in the United States, I would probably have maybe 2 women. I'd do some IVF treatments to put twins in them 2 or 3 times and cap myself at about 4 to 6 kids. They can't fuck with me that much. And like Andrew says, if I was in the United States, I'm that guy. I'll go to the casino and gamble all my money away before I fucking hand it over to some woman who's going to be living in a house I paid for, sucking some other man's dick. No way. And my women know that. And again, it takes me back to what I just said. The first time a woman fucks with you isn't going to be the Me Too. And the first time she fucks with you isn't going to be the I'm going to take all his shit. If you've never taken shit, but she shit tested you for 2 or 3 years and you finally have the kid, she knows Tristan Tate doesn't take shit. And I had to, and this is actually good. I wouldn't, I guess, admit this on a live, but I had to downgrade one of the mothers of my kids from the house she was living in. I needed her to understand that you do not fuck with me. And she was living in a 4-bedroom rented house, and I was paying the rent and all the bills. I pay everything. I said, okay, you know what? You want to fuck with me in that way? That's cool. You have 30 days to get out of that house. Here's your new apartment, 2 bedrooms. Well, what do you mean? Now your child doesn't have a garden to play in. Well, that's your fault. That is not my fault. Take her to the fucking park. I don't take shit. So it's never going to get to that level where they think, oh, well, let me call the US embassy. And because he's a citizen, maybe I can, because they know the consequence. It's not going to turn out good for them or me or anybody. So yeah, you just have to never take shit the whole time. You can't be a pussy and capitulate to every argument and every demand. And then when you have kids, think you're going to be some tough guy and she's not going to fuck with you.
So let's say you've got a girlfriend that you've been seeing for, a few years. She's exclusive to you. She's a good girl. She's passed all of the shit testing. She's complied with the rules, but she lives in a country that's hostile towards fathers. Would you have her move to Romania and say, look, yes, I'm going to have the children with you, but you need to move here so I can take care of you. And it's got to be in this apartment in this neighborhood.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hypothetical situation. I don't tend to do long distance relationships. I have girlfriends. I live in Romania. The farthest away I have a girlfriend live is the Czech Republic, which is just a couple hours by flight.
Okay.
I mean, I could wake up in the morning in Bucharest if I want, and by nighttime be in the Czech Republic. So it's the equivalent of a couple of states over. I don't really do long distance relationships, but yeah, if I had a girlfriend who was hostile and who was living in England, for example, which could happen because some of my girlfriends are English. And I have, in fact, well, there you go. I've answered your question. I have, in fact, moved them over to Romania. Okay. And they live in houses I own over there.
Okay. Question on the side over here is, how do you manage your time with your kids? So you've got 2 women that have your children?
Yes, 2.
Is it on a schedule? Like you've got like Monday nights with woman 1 and Thursday nights with woman 2 with the kids? Like, how do you do it?
No, I have every night with any woman I want. Always. That's the way I schedule myself. But essentially, it's all logistics, and money is power at the end of the day. If I was working some 10-hour a day bullshit job and I was still flat broke, I would be, I don't know how I would do what I do. The reason I've decided to pursue it in this way and set myself up in this way and give myself the burden of having probably 3 or 4 large families is because I have the resources and the time and the capability to pull it off. So from where my house is and where my main office is, my children live here and here. So every time I'm going to work or going to the office or going to business meetings, as I drive home, I could stop for 1 hour and stop for another hour and end up back at my house with one of my girlfriends. I've spent my 1 hour a day with my kids, or 2 hours a day, or as long as I like. And if I decide to fucking sleep there and fuck the mother of my kid and pass out, then I can do that. But it's logistics. Yeah. And they all live in the same neighborhood in town, and they all live on my way home from my office. I literally found a map when selecting what houses to put them in. So yeah, I've maximized it, and that has cost money. But what else is money for? I mean, all the cars in the world are great, but what could be better than having a lasting legacy? It's an investment.
What's the average monthly cost for you to take care of one of these women and 2 kids in a 4-bedroom house in Romania for all their needs?
It's not much cheaper than you would think of it in the West. I mean, I would say, let's say conservatively, each family right now, which has 1 child each. I call them my families. So they are essentially. Each family is costing me maybe $2,500 a month, which is not cheap. That's a good salary in any country in the world. I mean, it's a normal salary or good enough living. So it cost me about $2,500. Probably, when they first moved into the house, I got to buy all the baby cribs and shit and more. But now to keep them running, maybe $2,500 a month for them to live well. I mean, the babies always got nice clothes. They have nice food. They have enough money to do their nails and their hair and all the shit they want. So
gotcha. Got another question on the side. How do you handle girls' jealousy? Who sits in the front seat? Who sleeps in the bed with you? Who do you have to schedule with? I have never spoken to a guy that has smoothly handled that over a long period of time. It can come with a lot of hassle. Yeah, I mean, like, women bring drama to your life. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, well, the drama, I have a mantra that I always chant. whenever it's kicking off. And I am a professional fighter, remember. My brother is a professional fighter. I'm surrounded by people who are professional fighters. That was my world for a long time. And my mantra is women have no hands. They have no hands. People are worried about what women say and what women shout at them because they're so invested in their woman's feelings. My women are happy, but to them, you know, unhappy wife, unhappy life. I'm like, unhappy wife. Okay, I'll go to my other wife's house. Fine, until she cheers up. I don't live that way. So women have no hands. So they're of no threat or no danger to me. So if they're sad, the YouTube episode I posted where I'm partying with 9 of my girlfriends, they were all sad. And I'm sitting there drinking, dancing, kissing multiple of them, having the time of my life. They were all sad. They were so sad. YouTube haters who thought they were getting me were saying, all the women at your party look bored and upset. That was the point of the party, to invite all my girlfriends to one house and not give a fuck because they haven't got any hands. What the fuck do you care if your girl's screaming at you or is jealous or is tell her to shut the fuck up or you'll go somewhere else. And that's it. That's the line in the sand. Why, I don't understand why it's an issue. Also, you could pull what is traditionally, you could switch roles. You could use beta moves like going to sleep on the couch to your advantage. If you're married and you pay for the house and your wife is nagging at you and you go sleep on the couch, you're a fucking bitch. But if you're in bed with 3 different women and they're arguing about which ones are directly next to you, you stand up and say, you know what? Fuck all 3 of you. You can stay in bed together. I'm not even gonna have sex with any of you tonight. Fuck you. And go sleep on the couch your damn self. Then the next morning, individually and one-on-one, be like, listen, you fucked up. You should have been playing nice with the other girls. I've got a bad fucking shoulder and a bad neck now. I'll sleep on the fucking couch. What's your fucking problem? You'll get 3 sets of apologies. So you can take a beta move like going to sleep on the couch, but if you have the alpha frame, you could switch it to nullify some of their jealousy and stupidity. But there's no way of eliminating it. My question is just, why would you be afraid of it? What's the worst that can happen? I don't care. They have no hands.
Next question I got here is, what would you say are the biggest points of leverage for a man to reach the alpha god status?
Ultimately, women are show-offs. Women love showing off. It's the same reason a girl will, if you start, leveling up in life, post you in her Instagram stories to make other girls jealous. It's the reason girls are fucking social media addicts in the first place. A lot of it, they don't reply to their DMs from guys. It's not really to attract men. It's to say, this is what I have and this is what I'm doing. So if you think of a high value man as an attractive Chanel handbag, that's how women rationalize it in their brain. Sure, you could make them laugh. Sure, you could fuck them great. Sure, you could be the guy who they want to be around. And all of that counts for something. But in terms of being the alpha god, it's being that status symbol for women. Every time I fuck a new Romanian celebrity and I fuck some famous girl, the moment I'm done with her, my inbox is full of gorgeous women. Hey, Tristan, I know you just went through a breakup. I just want to say, Alexandra wasn't good enough for you and you shouldn't have been messing around with a girl like that. Why? Because they want to fuck me because that's Alexandra Stan's ex-boyfriend. Women see men this way. And if you don't see yourself this way, if you're not looking at other rooms of men and thinking, you know what? Yeah, I'm bigger, I'm stronger, I'm richer, I'm sharper, my car's cooler, I'm better than these men in some way, then probably you're not better than any of them. But leveling up on every single aspect is how you do it. And that's the way women will look at you. You are a status symbol. You're the bag on their arm. And women are that stupid that they'll liken it to that. They want to make other women jealous. That's the key.
True. Yeah. How important is it that they know that they're replaceable, that you point to the door every once in a while if they're misbehaving, that you maybe occasionally have to call them a cunt or something like that to put them in their place? How normalized is that for you when it comes to dealing with these women?
It's the most important thing in the world, because if you do it once, you never have to do it again. People who get pushed around all the time, it's like with a bully at school. This is the way women are. If a bully at school is pushing you around all the time and you're taking it like a little bitch all the time and crying and maybe telling the teachers or maybe throwing a hissy fit, he's going to keep coming after you. If a bully fucks with you once, like tries to steal your lunch money and you fucking break his jaw, they stop fucking with you. They want to be your friend. And I'm telling you, the best way to make women your ally and to make women love you and care about you and not treat you like a little bitch is never to capitulate in the first place. I don't apologize when I get caught cheating. I don't ever say that I'm in the wrong. I tell her to stop digging into my life. I said, look, baby, don't look into who I follow on Instagram. There's no good news for you there. Why don't you spend time fucking writing me letters instead? Why don't you come and see me and actually spend some fucking time with me instead of sitting at home on Instagram like a loser? Like, don't ever take shit in the first place. It's the most important thing in the world, because if you set the standards right, I'm not constantly arguing with my women, my main girls, and kicking them out and throwing them out and having fights with them. I'm not. I'm really not, because they all know it doesn't end well. So yeah, most important thing in the world, but do it once properly and you'll never have to do it again.
Just trying to think.
One of my, sorry, just to say,
go ahead. Yeah.
One of my girlfriends is here right now. And I guarantee she can hear some of what I'm saying. And after this, I'm going to walk out there and she's not going to say, what were you saying to that guy, Rich Cooper, on the podcast? Because she knows that even though we're in Dubai and I brought her here to look after me because I've recently just had an operation on my shoulder, I'll kick her the fuck out. I'll send her in a taxi away to the airport and book her a ticket and make her wait there for 24 hours. She knows I will. So yeah. I can talk freely to you right here with one of my side chicks, no more than 4 meters away, 5 meters away. She knows not to fuck with me because she's tried it before when we first got together and it doesn't work out.
How far up on the scale? Like if we said, I don't know if a 1 to 10 is probably the best way to measure it, but let's just say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the absolute best version of yourself, like you've maxed out on your looks, on the amount of money that you can generate, on your status, on the level of captivation that you have, meaning you're like how interesting you are, the kind of life that you live. I mean, not just anybody can pull off the alpha god mode sort of thing where they can just, do as you're like. A woman's not going to respect a guy that's broke as fuck, living in his mom's basement, not making a lot of money, that isn't that interesting, that has 7 followers on Instagram, that tries to set a boundary like you're describing. So where on the scale can you actually like look in your rearview mirror and say, okay, now I've come this far, I'm this valuable, I drive this car, I have this kind of money, I'm part of Tristan's network and group and war room, sort of thing, like whatever that happens to be, like those metrics. Where do you think that generally typically needs to land for guys before they can start leaning into the alpha god sort of lifestyle?
I think it's all down to the environment that you live in. I mean, if you live in fucking Los Angeles or Miami or something, it's very different. It's all relative to where you are. I mean, if you're a small town guy and you're living in I don't know, somewhere in Connecticut, I don't know the United States all that well, and you live in a small town, you got some pretty cowgirls, in your city who are all looking good. All it is, get into better shape, get the supervisor job at the local steel mill. Don't be one of the grunts. Drive a better truck than them. Have a nicer cowboy hat. It's all about where you are, if you know what I mean. It's not necessarily, if you want to play the online game, the Instagram game, that I'm going to hit up these blue check mark 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 million follower women, then you fucking really need to be about it. Then you need to have everything. But again, besides my height, and I'm 6'4", I'm a tall guy, nothing else you say about me can really be put down to luck. I mean, I could be skinny and weak as fuck or fat as fuck, and my good looks go away if you get fat. Right now I'm out of shape. I see all my stats, network, money, fitness, intelligence. I see them as constantly falling. And I don't think I've even reached my peak yet, because I haven't yet had the time to just be pushing all my stats up and not working on something else. So I don't know exactly where you have to be. Online game, you have to be at least near my level, at least millionaire status, at least 1 supercar, at least 20, 30,000 followers. You need to be at that level to play the online game. But depending on where you are, I mean, you could be a big fish in a small pond. I think it's just being more manly than the other men that you're around, being more attractive, being more appealing to the women who you're trying to attract.
Being the
and
best
I don't know what the
right?
answer is. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. You might be from Beijing, China. I don't know what the culture is there.
I'm going to start to wrap up soon, guys. So if you have any other questions that you think I might have missed, make sure you throw them in the chat. The other thing I want to ask you is, I've seen a lot of guys try to live this lifestyle and they'll hold out to the public. I've seen it over the years. a lot of these
Yeah.
dudes, like especially on Twitter and other places where they'll talk about, oh, I'm living with 7 women in my property and it's in some random fucking outback building. I think you know who I'm about to talk about. But then they get
Yeah.
Me Too'd by one of the women and they get fucked over
Yeah.
by the law. Or
Yeah.
there's other versions of guys that are like, oh, I am the alpha male, 7.7 version sort of thing like that.
Yeah.
And I have all these women that I can be with, but I let my girls be with whoever they want, which to me is just being cucked. Like, you're a bitch if you do that.
It is. That's
So
gay.
where do you see most of these guys generally go wrong, where they try to run this sort of, like harem game?
I don't think it's at they necessarily go wrong. I think they're doing, look, I didn't end up in, I didn't, and I'd like, I mean, Rollo's a friend of mine, but I didn't read the Rational Mail and start subscribing to Red Pill Twitter and then start building up myself within Red Pill Twitter. I just had Twitter for 6 years before I even knew what this space was on the internet. And who I was and who I showed the world I was, it kind of fish hooked me and dragged me into this. So I think the people who are really doing it, if there's anyone out there living the lifestyle like me, most of them aren't on fucking Twitter or YouTube, and you're not going to find them. So I think almost everybody, I mean, lots of guys know a lot. And Rollo, for example, I hung out with him recently in Miami. That guy's smart as fuck. He knows a lot, and his information is super useful to so many men. I know men who say like his books literally saved my life. But anyone who's out there saying, I'm the best playboy in the world, I'm getting all these women and I'm having sex with all these women, and I know that they're not, because you can't fake. You always say real recognizes real. If someone tells you my cars are rented, you know they're not. Mm-hmm. We know, you know what I mean? Like, real recognizes real. And I don't see any of these guys as being the real deal. I believe that most of them are paying for their women, either directly or indirectly. They're either escorts or just sugar babies, living in that house and getting some sort of monthly allowance. I think it's fake. I don't even necessarily think they're living it and they're living it wrong. I think it's actually fake. What they're trying to tell the world isn't happening. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. I think it's more bullshit than you think it is. I just don't believe it. And I just don't believe it. You think it's bullshit because you think they're running the game all wrong while trying to be me. I think they're not even trying to be me. They're just hiring a bunch of hookers and taking pictures and making up stories. I think it's just pure fiction. Yeah. I read a blog, and you know what? You'll probably know who I'm talking about. But he used to run some blog about how he gets laid and picks up women and blah, blah, blah. So I decided to read a few passages from this guy's blog. And he was like, I was in Amsterdam, red flag. I mean, fucking Amsterdam. What's that famous for? I was in Amsterdam with a girl who I met, and we walk into a bar and she sees 2 of her girlfriends. One of them's a barmaid and one of them's there. An hour later, I'm walking out with all 3 of them. Listen, I'm a fucking multi-millionaire celebrity in my country. I'm famous, and I don't walk into bars with a girl and come out with the barmaid and her friend. I know from reading that passage, he was with an escort and he walked into a place in the red light district and picked up 2 other girls from the bar. I know that because I know what really happens in the world. A few times in my life, I've walked into a place with 1 girl and come out with 2. That has happened. But this guy, in terms of status, intelligence, looks, money, charm, everything is a million times lower than me. So when I read his story, I was like, okay, cute. He was with a prostitute and he went and picked up 2 more prostitutes. So I can spot the bullshit. So no, they're not even living like me in the wrong way. I would say it's more fake than you even think it is.
Was this that dipshit that did that article accusing you of being on steroids?
No, but I've read that one. I've read that one. I mean, and even now, I'm not that big. I haven't trained for a while. So full disclosure, I've just had a serious shoulder operation, which is why I've been putting this off. Only now can I take off the cast and just about slip a shirt on. Yeah. But that guy said on steroids, said my cars were rented, said I wasn't a real kickboxer. Just this, I don't know. I can't remember that guy's name. But no, I didn't read anything by him. This was by someone far more prominent. Who I used to speak to a lot, but in recent times, I guess I've fallen out with. But I'll tell you afterwards. But it's just embarrassing. I can read through the bullshit. I said this to Bobby, actually. Bobby Dino, I said it to him. I said, listen, if a man said that he'd served time in prison, if you know who Bobby Dino is, he did 10 years. I've heard of him, yeah. I don't know him personally, but I've heard of him. He did 10 years in prison. That's his whole thing. And he talks about prison experiences. And I said to him, I said, if I told you that I'd done hard time in an American penitentiary, within a minute or two of talking to me, you know if I was lying or not. That's how I see these Playboy accounts.
Yeah,
because I literally really do it. So I know who's talking shit. and it's almost all of them.
Yeah. You know, my stance on the whole Mano Swamp and why I left. And there's a lot of stuff that I've seen, you know, some of it you've shown me and a lot of it I've seen that I've never talked about publicly, which I probably won't ever talk about publicly. Like we'll chop it up when we get together. It's at some point. But yeah. Okay. So let's start to wrap it up on that. Is there anything else that needs to be said that hasn't been said yet?
I think what I'd say to anyone wanting to live like me, understand that, you know, the whole process of becoming me or Andrew, was 20 years of hard work. You know, it started from age 14 when I was broke as fuck, going into that kickboxing gym, starting to build my frame and my muscle and my kickboxing career, which got me some accolades, which got me some women, which got me some more money, it was a spiral of really, really, really hard work to get up here. And, you know, if you're 17, 18, 19, yeah, you should be, you know, following me, listening to the things I say. But the first thing I'm going to tell you is you're not going to be a millionaire for 10 more years. Get to the fucking gym, do some hard work. Do you know what I mean? Like it took a lot of hard work. You don't just fall into this position. And if you are lucky enough to be born rich as fuck and tall and built because you've got all the genetics and stuff, you're probably just going to get simped. You're probably just going to simp and get pimped on by these women because you don't know how to be poor and how to be rich. And, you know, you're probably just going to end up in some unfair value exchange where you're some sugar daddy. It was a very unique combination, the perfect storm of events that created Andrew and Tristan Tate. This isn't some lucky guy sitting up here being, oh, well, just be fit and rich and whatever. Like it's going to take you a decade.
Yeah, I was going to say, like every overnight success has got years, even decades, you know, behind it. And it doesn't sound like you guys are doing this to chase girls. You're doing this to chase excellence. It's just girls were the byproduct of that.
Oh, the girls are a byproduct. So, you know, it is as easy as just get smart and fit and rich, but that's a decade. That's a decade of hard work, you know, so do it or don't. But that's what it is.
All right, Tristan, thank you. I'm just going to hit stop recording.